Hey folks, welcome back. This is Mark's Daily Brief. Today I want to talk about trust, which is the second commitment in my book, Staring on the Wolf. But I'm going to look at it from a different angle and talk about it in the context of what we're all going through with the social isolation or social separation or whatever the heck we're calling it. Trust is one of those things that really first must reside deeply within ourselves. Now, I truly believe like all these ethos and these values that people are espousing, the character traits that we're meant to have, none of them matter unless you embrace and then embody them yourself at a deep level. So what does that mean around trust? It means first that you understand what trust is, that it's basically a bond or a commitment to uphold your word and that your actions aren't going to be damaging or hurtful, and that you stand for something and you stand by someone, and in that sense you become a trustworthy human being and trusted, and then also you're able to be trusting. So many faces of trust. The deepest part of trust, where it all kind of breaks down for a lot of people, is they won't trust themselves because of some childhood wound, typically. So it's difficult to trust others, which means it's going to be difficult to be trusted if you don't first trust yourself. So if you're dealing with any sense of trust or issues around trust in your life, the first place to look is right here, right at you, and to look back and ask yourself, what is it about me that makes me feel I don't trust myself? I don't trust myself to have the awesome intelligence to figure my way through this crisis. I don't trust myself to be, savvy with finances. I don't trust myself, not to eat myself blind, or drink myself blind or smoke, every day because I've got these addictive patterns, which, a lot of people have. Most people have some sort of addictive pattern. It's just human nature. Well, examine that. What is the root of that lack of self-trust? And there's some sort of lack of self-care that ends up going with that, or sense of not being whole. And this is very normal. So don't beat yourself up, just investigate it. Use this as a self-awareness tool, because if you can't trust yourself, then it's very difficult to trust others. And if you can't trust others, then guess what? They're just not going to trust you. It's an energetic thing. Assuming we can trust ourselves, or we're working on it, then the best way to cultivate trust is to basically do what you say you're going to do. Be relentless with follow-through, and don't take on commitments that you can't fulfill. It's better to say no than it is to say yes to something and then blow it off, or do it half-heartedly or poorly. So be relentless with your follow-through, which means choose to do fewer things better. Do less things better. I think Cal Newport said that in his book, Deep Work. I could be wrong, but I want to give credit where credit is due for these things. Which brings me to another point. This is a little bit of a sidebar, but everyone's moving so fast, and even our marketing department, who writes great copy for me, you might think I write all the copy that goes out of my office, but it's not true. It all comes from my work, but sometimes it's tweaked and written by a copywriter. And I've seen a few times where they've used someone else's trademark by mistake. This happened with my friend Patrick Sweeney, who wrote Fear is Fueled, and we did a webinar that was about fear, and they used that term. And it bothered me because I immediately thought that could be it was a breach in trust, and that I had to go fix that really quickly. So my point here is, sometimes trust can be breached when it's not your fault. It could happen from gossip. It can happen from someone deliberately stabbing you in the back. And when you find out that happens, instead of getting, pissed at this, get pissed later, but first go rectify it. Deal with it straight up. Have the crucial conversation both with the person who's not trusting you and the person, who breached the trust to begin with. So these are, thorny things, and they require self-awareness, and they require us to really lean into challenging conversations, to be more assertive and get away from passive aggressiveness or aggressive behavior or things that break down trust, communication styles that break down trust. All right, I've gone a little bit long here, but this is food for thought while you're sitting around sheltering at home. That's the word I was looking for. Sheltering in place. You got a lot of time to work on trust. I won't get into today's training except to say, please join me with the 200 burpees a day. So that was a 3-2-1 challenge. Do 3 silent practices a day, either box breathing, meditation, visualization, guided app, whatever it is, walk in nature. Do three sessions a day. I don't care if they're 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 20 minutes. Do 200 burpees or 20 minutes of burpees a day, and have one challenging conversation that you wouldn't normally have, even if it's just telling your son or daughter that you love them, or vice versa, telling your mom or dad that you love them. Something like that. 3-2-1 challenge. Do that for 30 days and let's see what happens. And I'll also tally up our burpees and maybe donate something to the Courage Foundation to help the vets out. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for listening. I hope you find these valuable. Please leave a comment, join their YouTube channel. Hoo-yah. Stay focused.